The Treasure of the Magi, a study of modern Zoroastrianism by James Hope Moulton, concludes Book 2, and, well, the book has some indexes and stuff, but I'm not going to read the index, with Chapter 8, The Crown of Zoroastrianism. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill, Plahrose. So it's, again, not what the Christian thinks. The kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a merchant seeking goodly pearls, and having found one pearl of great price, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. We are at last ready to turn to Christianity and examine its answer to the questions raised by the ancient religion we have been studying. They definitely did expect more profits. Since Wilson's day, there has been extremely little research in Parsi books and among Parsi people from the standpoint of Christian missionary aims. It seems incumbent on us to compare our great results with those of the great pioneer. Anyone who gets a hold of Wilson's Parsi religion gives it even a cursory reading to its very learned, very earnest, and very prolix pages, will see at once that there is an immense difference between Wilson's estimate of the religion and that which is set forth in this book. The essence of the difference, however, admits of a very simple explanation. Wilson gives no evidence that he ever read the Gathas. A student who takes up Wilson's task after 3/4 of a century is only reluctantly compelled to read anything else. Wilson sternly refuses to allow Zarathustra the title of prophet, and will hardly give his religion credit for a single pure thought or lofty thought of God, even if you trace it back to before historical Judaism, you still have to give a lot of credit. Or you have to say that that what they call Zoroastrianism, that Achaemenid period, is not the same religion, but you could put it on a perennial religion sort of thing. Oh, that's why they're against theosophy, because it does away with the dispensationalism thing and puts it in a more global scale, really. If today we thought of Zarathustra as the author of the Vendidad and knew as little as Wilson did of the Gathas, we should say nearly the same. We do not come to the study of other religions in the spirit which prevailed in those days. Comparative science has forced us to read documents with impartial diligence, to understand them rather than to refute them. And the Christian religion, which is always bringing out of its treasury things new as well as old, has reiterated its testimony that God never left himself without witness, and men recognize that once more science and religion can agree. Well, actually, the Bible does make that point. It doesn't make that point quite as clearly. Islam does make that point, that there can't be a generation without enough proper guidance. If not a prophet living at the time. There are few Christian thinkers now who would grudge the title of prophet to the author of the Gathas, but neither science nor religion consents to trace a prophet's hand in the Vendidad. It is not necessary to condemn outright, with Wilson's fervor, a book such as priests have composed, and love to compose in every country, but the writer frankly admits that even as a philologist had he plowed up this prairie to collect Aryan roots, much as members of his craft may study the Iguvine tablets, or even the Brahmanas, he would never have been likely to turn from such study to inquire into Avestan religion. The Gathas were the compelling motive, and it is on the Gathas that he bases his optimistic estimate of the heritage of Zarathustra. In Wilson's day, it was hardly possible to read the Gathas so as to appreciate the religious value. If they were a sealed book to so good a scholar as Wilson, they were still more so to the great majority of the Parsis. In spite of all that has been done in the last 2 generations to clear up their meaning, it cannot be said that the Parsis even now have any familiarity with the hymns which, in theory, stand at the center of their religion. Even if accurately translated, they are highly elusive, and the shallow easiness of the latter Avesta assures it of an unchallenged supremacy in practice. The people collectively worship the Gathas. While they worship with the Gathas, there's a difference. Do people who actually go straight to the Bible, the fundamentalist, worship the Bible? That point's typically wouldn't be made, now would it? But it is the Vendidad that makes their religion. Probitas laudatur et auget. Zarathustra is not the only prophet in history who has been hailed as Lord by those who do not know the things he says. Now, Lord Curie, spiritual master, would be more like what would be spoken of, right? Wilson followed a true instinct, therefore, when he concentrated on the Vendidad. If the right way of the Christian propaganda is to attack the weak spots of the religion that came after and absorbed some of the fragments, right? We strive to supersede. There are some central points of his attack in which advance of knowledge shows that he was mistaken. Eternity, Zervan, Akarana, never had among Parsis, except with sectarians, the primacy that Wilson argued from, and the thoroughgoing dualism which he has inferred, while no doubt accordant with some ideas of Magian theology, cannot fairly be credited to the religion